Hello everybody, welcome to today's podcast. I'm here with Newcastle Rugby Foundation, some of the college players from here. I'm your host, Jesse, and I'm here with my other host.
Yeah, Chris Wall, Activity and Wellbeing Lead.
And I guess we're just going to open up the conversation by asking all of you to introduce yourself. So if you want to start from this side.
I'm Amelia Mortimer.
I'm Connie Holmes.
Mikey Stevens.
Rufus Braybarden.
And how do you kind of tie into the Newcastle Rugby Foundation? What's your kind of position or?
We go to the college here and we study sports and rugby excellence.
So to open up the conversation about being healthy, I'd just like to ask all of you to give a brief answer on what do you think being healthy means. I'll start from you.
I'd say being healthy is being like physically fit, eating well, and just overall being like a fitter human being, I'd say.
Well, I mean, like for me, it's just a lot about, being in the gym, being consistent and also eating healthy because, you are what you eat, and it just has an effect on your overall well-being.
I think health is really important for like your mental health as well as physical health. Say you're like playing or something and you're not in it mentally, your body will physically get the effect of it, so you might get hurt more often, things like that.
I agree with that point, and I'd say that mental health is a big part of like being healthy as well as physical health.
Okay, so quite a variety of different answers. We've got more physical health focused over here and mental health over here. So in terms of your physical health, what do you do to make sure you're doing well physically?
I think there's a lot about like the scales, like looking at your weight, and then there's like, obviously BMI, compare it to my height and my age. There's obviously tests, especially in rugby with like the Bronco. That is like a timed distance for how quick you can do it. And that's a lot of rugby players compare their fitness based on that test, I'd say, I think.
Well, for me, healthy is also about kind of injury and preventing it and, recovering from it. After, a match day and I've played, I might be feeling sore. I might have injured a tendon, I might have injured a muscle, pulled something. And it's just really important for me to get back in the gym next day, day after that, and the following weeks to try and rehab and recover from that so that I don't, permanently damage myself.
Well, really interesting that you both give answers around rugby. Is there anything you do differently and kind of away from rugby that kind of supports your ongoing health and well-being?
Well, I know we both go to the gym as well, so that's to help our on-field performance. And I don't so much, but I know you track calories, so that's to do with the food, but like nutrition and that. I don't know, what about you?
Well, not much really, to be honest. Outside of rugby, it's kind of all I try and stay healthy for. Although if I think if I didn't play rugby, I'd still try and stay healthy because I believe it's important. Because you want to have a long, prosperous life.
Well, okay, really interesting. This side.
Well, I kind of agree with what they're saying, like how much muscle you have, muscle will prevent you dislocating your shoulder or breaking a bone. But I also feel like you need to be eating the right things to build that muscle. So if say you're living on like fast food, things that are high fat content, you're not going to be able to put on that much muscle. You'll feel more tired. The more tired you are, the more likely you are to injure yourself. So I think making sure you've got the right amount of protein and things like that in your meal is really important.
I think obviously keeping consistent with training and everything. So I train for college rugby and then also for my club. And then eating healthy, going to the gym, keeping up with everything that I would do to make sure I don't fall behind.
That's quite interesting that you mentioned the consistency element there. I feel like that's something that probably a lot of people struggle with in terms of consistently being in the gym or consistently being active. So could you give any tips or anything to help to kind of suggest how to keep consistent in your health and wellbeing journey?
I think if you just think about what would happen if you didn't carry on with training, if you missed out on training within a week, say I train 4 times a week or something, if I missed out on 2 or 3 of them, I might fall behind what everyone else is doing. So I like to keep the image in my mind of me being on the same level as everyone else around me.
just to jump on there as well, what are the, you know, you're all quite young at college, what are the distractions that are in your life that kind of stop you from kind of being that, with that consistency?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that, you know, education can sometimes get in the way, or, you know, you've had a long day at college or whatever, you feel tired, you might not want to, you know, be active, go for a run, go for a swim, get in the gym. I think that can get in the way sometimes and put a bit of a mental block on you.
I agree with that. Obviously, I don't know if that's just me, but I travel quite far for college, so by the time I'm home, I'm absolutely shattered. So obviously, the thing I want to do is I want to curl up in bed, you know, and do nothing. But if you want to have that slight edge on other people in your position, you've got to push yourself that extra bit harder. You've got to do it when you're tired and motivated. Like, you've just got to go for it.
Okay, and then what do you know? I'm an older man in my 40s. What do you think the difference is from in my life? What the barriers might be?
I think just physically it can be more challenging for someone that is older, or well, not that much older, but like but not you, but someone that's might be bigger or older. That it's harder for them to start because it's not part of the routine. If you do train often, it becomes a habit. Whereas if you haven't for, let's say, 20 years, it's going to be really difficult to start. It's going to be new for your body. It's going to be a shock to your system. Stuff like that can make it harder.
I feel like, yeah, what you're saying is like right along the right tracks. For someone who's kind of been out of exercise for a while, it may seem like this big mountain which they're kind of looking up to in terms of getting fit. So how do you feel like someone can smoothly get into that journey?
I think a plan really helps. Just to start really small, going for a walk daily, like don't even have to be a long walk. If you don't train or do anything at all, then just a short walk, and then build up and build up and build up.
I actually think there's social barriers that might affect an older person as well, like wanting to start like a sport or wanting to start like being more physically active, because there's not as many like opportunities for you to be able to go and do them things.
And why might that be? So what do you think might be going on for an older person in a life that might stop them from kind of making that leap?
I think work could get in the way quite a lot, because obviously you're not going to want to like stop like working because you need the money and everything.
Family as well.
Family, yeah.
Yeah,
Family,
if you've got kids, like if the kids have got activities that they do, you've got to take them around, and then that's your evening already busy. You can't do anything. So
we can do a bit of comparison now. What does a day look like for you guys? So what does a kind of a setup of a day of a 16, 17, 18-year-old look like?
I'd say on a day I don't have training, I'll go, let's say it's today, I'd wake up about 7, half 7, come in for college about 9. We'll have lessons in the morning till about 12. Then, because we haven't trained today, we'll do review, so I'll take about an hour, and then I'll get to go home and probably go to the gym for about an hour or two. That's only because I've got no training. If I've got training, you can feel a bit tired after it. Your body's not 100%, so you don't want to go to the gym, because if you can't work at 100%, then what's the point, sort of thing.
So I'll use the same example, like on a Thursday, so I've got to wake up about 6, half 6 to get a 7:45 train.
Where are you travelling from?
Darlington.
Darlington.
Yeah, so I've got quite a trek to get up to Newcastle every day. So obviously I'll get into college for about 9, we'll work until 12, obviously we'll get our lunch. Then we've got review, so we just analyse the games or training sessions, things we think we can develop us as a team. Then we do have some masseuses, is that the right name for them?
Masseuse, yeah.
Yeah, we have some of them working at the college as well, so you get offered a few massages after games and things like that, which is really nice. And then I have to, on Thursdays I have to stay in Newcastle until about 5, because I've got training over at Bladen, so I've got to go over to Bladen. I'm training from about 5:30 until 7, then I've got about an hour drive home. So it's a long day, but
yeah.
it's worth it. You reap what you sow at the end of the day. So
I imagine with that busyness comes an element of kind of stress and mental fatigue. So how do you manage that during a time which is so busy?
So I do get quite a lot of burnout, I'm not going to lie about that. I feel like I'm doing so much, it's hard to stay on top of everything. But one thing we say in my house, a problem shared is a problem halved. So if I'm stressed out about something, my parents will figure a way out to help me. I've got dogs, so I'll take them out on a nice walk, play with them. Like I find different like routes to go down to try and release stress.
And in terms of everybody else, who are your support systems in terms of offloading stress? Do you have any, is it friends, is it family? Or do you struggle to find those support systems?
I think it can be hard to find those support systems because, like, you know, if you've got a problem that you're struggling with, you think about that and you might worry that you're weak for having that problem. But generally, I think I fall back on my friends sometimes. I talk to them about it and just offload that stress, even if they haven't got a solution for it. It's just, it's good to get that off your mind.
I think for me, like, if I'm trying to like talk about my problems, it would specifically be my parents or my friends that I go and talk to, because I find it quite easy to talk to them about things like that, and I know that they'll be able to help me with anything I'm going through.
I think it depends a lot on the type of families and friends you've got around you. If you've got really close friends that you know won't judge you or take the mick out of you for having these issues, and same with family, if they don't ever tell you that they're open to you, then you're not sure if you should, because if you give them the problem, then it's a problem on them if they've already got a stressed life. But if they tell you they're open, it's nice to know that you have that person to go to, I think.
So again, younger people, so potentially you've got a real big social network on both sides, lots of friends. Again, thinking about me as an older man, Jesse, a bit older as well, do you think that's the same? Do you think, how big do you think friendship groups are as you get older? Do you think they expand, do they get smaller?
Well, I think, like, for a lot of people, you form like a lot of friendships in your young teenage years, and if you struggle to do that during those years, I think you struggle a lot later on in life. Even if you make friends at the workplace, I don't think it comes as easy to you if you struggle to do it in your teenage years. So you might find yourself more isolated than those that did have a lot of friends when they were in school or college.
I feel like, though, when you become an adult, life gets in the way. Like, people will start having kids, you'll be working full time, like, you will find it quite hard too. So even like small things, like obviously we're talking about health here, if you were going to the gym, you might be able to find someone who you can go to the gym with more often, or get back in touch with old friends, say, oh, like, do you want to go out for coffee? Like, yeah, Mikey has a point, it is really hard, but sometimes you've got to make an effort to stop life getting in the way of everything.
It is. So what question would you ask me, like, in that perspective, like from a different way of looking at it? So you've got your friendship groups now, and kind of looking forward to when you get to my age, what questions would you ask about how it is different now for someone who's an older man, should we say?
I think it depends a lot on, I think it depends quite a bit on being a man and a woman. I think men are very less likely to talk about their problems compared to women. I think women will. I think women do go out more. They'll go, because I think I don't think I've ever been out with a friend to go get coffee. I've never done that. That's not exactly a guy thing, or not for me. I haven't done that. Stuff like, there's different opportunities to talk where being a man or woman, it helps and doesn't help.
Interesting. I do go out for coffee with friends. Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going with the ask the questions. Is that it could be like there, but yes, I do. I'd sit down with friends and have a coffee, and we'd talk about family and issues and things like that. That might not be common though. That's just from my perspective. I would do that if I knew somebody was in need of that kind of time, that conversation. I would give them that, but I couldn't tell you if it was a regular thing that everyone does. But yeah, interesting. But certainly from your kind of friendship groups do get smaller, and you are kind of focused on family, work, and you have different motives to around that. So any questions from this side, what you'd think about?
I would say is it like harder to make a connection? Like, do you struggle making a connection with like new people you meet as you would like compared to when you were a teenager?
So yeah, essentially when I was your age, sport was a huge part of my life. So I was a footballer. Don't hold that against us, okay? But certainly a lot of my friendships came from playing sport, playing against people. Once I stopped, that you do find you kind of go out of those circles. You do get distracted by your family. Well, not distracted, but that is a distraction in terms of that social element. So you do kind of feel that it does get harder to make them connections. But then you've got your kind of professional life as well. So a big part of my professional life is networking, getting to know people. You know, from the rugby club today, Newcastle United, all different types. So those connections professionally, but I do find it harder socially to make those new connections. And then also that motivation of wanting to as well, because you've still got, you know, your priorities are different. You haven't got that time to give to that social bit. So it does change. So now you'll all be socialising, you know, outside. It does get more difficult. So again, thinking about how to protect yourselves as you get older to have that bit of time.
Can I come in there?
Of course.
I find it interesting that you mentioned, you know, the perception of younger people is that we're all very kind of interconnected in terms of social media. You know, a lot of people have like hundreds of thousands of followers, so you think that there'd be kind of a lot of opportunity for connections and relationships there. But have you found it that although, you know, you have lots of friends on social media, that it can still sometimes be hard to really connect with someone, to have a deeper relationship in this kind of generation?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say yeah. I think in general it's quite a not a very serious generation. Like, you know, it doesn't take many problems seriously. You know, makes fun of a lot of stuff. You know, make a lot of jokes about stuff. And so, you know, having a serious, like, one-on-one conversation, someone I'd say is quite a lot rarer than, you know, maybe it was like 10 years ago.
I think people, because of social media, I think people get closer really quicker, especially like in relationship-wise. And people progress a lot quicker because, like Mike was saying, about 20 years ago, you'd have to, every time you want to talk to them, you have to go up and see them. Every time, but now you can talk to someone 24/7. So I think relationships can progress a lot quicker, but that means they crumble a lot quicker because it's not as special. It's just a thing that happens in our age, I think, where relationships just come and go.
Do you feel like it's a lot more surface level nowadays, well, with that kind of social media element, or do you feel like it is still easy to form quite close and deep relationships?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's just depend on the people you find on social media. Whether, I think if you'll only get a deeper connection if you get on them really well in real life as well, not just online. Because I think you can be a different person online, so that's sort of the issue with social media, I think.
It's really interesting because when I was at university, I think Facebook came in. We're going back a few years here, girls. And I remember the amount of remember looking at one point and the amount of people on my social media that I'd never met, I'd never spoke to, and it was kind of almost kind of like a, I'll be your friend, I'll be your friend, I'll be your friend. Actually, you didn't actually end up ever speaking to half the people, and it was, I found that bizarre. Did you? I found that bizarre. Does that still happen? Do you like kind of make connections with people?
I think that still is a thing. It's like I think Instagram's more used, I'd say, and it's just. Anyone, if you've got mutuals, you'll most likely follow them, and they'll probably follow you back, and it's a bit like, you've never met them, but...
I feel like on another note, that's a really sinister side of social media. Like, you have no clue what that person on the other side of the screen's actual intentions are. Like, yeah, you might actually create really good connections with people, make new friends. Like, yeah, that is a positive, but I feel like people forget about the not so good side, the more negative side of social media, where, like, you know, catfishing, I don't know, for an example, like things like that actually do happen. I feel like people forget about that.
That tells us what catfishing is, haven't we?
Pardon?
That tells us what catfishing is.
Catfishing is basically someone pretending to be someone they aren't. Like, they say they look one way and then they're completely different. So saying like, I don't know, one of the guys at college said he was like catfishing someone, saying, "Oh, he's doing rock or whatever," and then you actually meeting him, he's not. It's like that's the best way I can explain it.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of the pressures of social media, the pressures of posting, and you know, for my perspective, I don't think I can't remember I posted a couple of family pictures on Instagram. Never put anything on Facebook. But is there a pressure people your age to have an image or to post regularly, or to kind of almost kind of have a persona on social media to help with popularity, to help with like your image? I think
that does happen a lot. I think a lot of people do. I think you'll find the people that post more often are often the people that want to be like try and get more followers, be more popular, and there's people that don't post at all. Which that element of just, I think it just relates to the person you are. If you want people to see your life, it might not be in a braggy way, they just want to show off, not show off, but like show what they did that day. They might have done something cool, they might have gone to the game. People post on their story, that's what loads of people do. They might post about their team, like their rugby team winning or losing a game or stuff like that. It's just, people like to keep active and like constant for some reason. I don't do it personally, sometimes I will, but only when I really feel the need to or want to.
And what are the pressures that come with like that social media side? So, you know, if we've talked a lot about physical health, but also I think you mentioned at the beginning around the mental aspect as well. Does social media kind of have a big impact on young people in terms of their mental health?
I think it does, yeah.
You've got some nods, go on. You go first.
You know, I think, like, for me personally, what I've experienced the most is kind of body image is a big thing. You know, you'll see fitness influencers posting on social media. You know, they'll show off their physique, they'll show off their gym progress and stuff, and a lot of times people can compare themselves to these people that have been training for, you know, half a decade, and then kind of look at themselves in a negative light, and it can have quite a substantial impact on your mental health and just make, you know, kind of ruin your own perception of your progress.
I found that really interesting. As a Gen Z myself, you know, growing up on social media, I was going to touch on that earlier actually, you know, the body image kind of perspective about it and how it does tie in with physical health, because you want to be healthy, therefore you'll go to the gym. However, it's all kind of interlinked with this big system of, okay, you're getting in the gym to feel good physically, but also to look good, and how that kind of ties in with your mental health. Because a lot of the times, for example, myself, I'll go into the gym and I'll be like constantly comparing myself in a bad way, in a good way, all these different ways. And that does kind of take a toll, and it's hard to create that switch in terms of not comparing yourself, because you're just surrounded by people who are going to the gym, whether it be a specific number on your bench or, you know, your physique. I feel like that's something that a lot of people nowadays struggle with. So
and then you get to my age and you've been married 10 years and you stop caring a little bit. So when I was younger, I had probably that same body image and things like that, and I got to a point where you become comfortable and you almost kind of, you forget about how you look and have that almost that kind of pride as well sometimes, and you can go into a bit of a nosedive in terms of how you feel and how you perceive yourself. And you know, you can go through periods where, I remember going through a period where I didn't want me picture taken with my kids at times, because it was like, that's not who I was 10 years ago, and you have to try and kind of get over that as well. So it does kind of swing away again as you get older.
As teenagers, especially with social media, like, you do compare yourself to a lot of different people, like whether they be like looking completely different to you, like looking really similar. Like, you're always like, even if like someone could look at you and aspire to look like you, but then you could look at someone else, like everyone's always got insecurities. And I feel like with social media and being a teenager, like it affects us a lot, with us all caring about how we look as like we're growing older and stuff.
I remember seeing like this post or something, and it was people looking to like the left of them saying, oh, I wish I had that, I wish I had, not being grateful for what they already have. So yeah, say you're looking online and seeing like a beauty influencer or whatever, and she's like drop dead gorgeous, and you'd be like, oh, I wish I looked like her. Someone would be wishing they looked like you. And like same with a gym influencer, you'd be like, oh, I want to look like that, and then you say go try and look like that in the gym, but you might not actually know what to do to end up with the final result that they had. So you might overwork and underfuel and things like that, and it is really damaging for you as well.
Are there any systems that you've put in place to kind of create a distance between kind of being too involved with comparing yourselves and kind of just focusing on health?
Well, I don't know if this is just me, but like if something, say I'm watching like TikTok or something comes up, I'll just skip past it, because I shouldn't wait, like give something like that I know will make me feel bad about myself or something the time of day, because if I know it's going to affect how I feel about myself, there's no point in watching it, because it's only detrimental to you.
I think I just try and, you know, separate myself from the video that I'm watching, you know, realise that there's so many factors involved with, you know, how they look, you know, or, you know, how strong they are or something like that. And just try and think about the progress I've made and how far I've come. And just try and more be proud of myself because of that, instead of, you know, looking at somebody else and putting myself down because, you know, they're better than me in some kind of way.
Well, it's been great talking to you all. It's been a really good conversation, touching on a lot of different topics in regards to health. So just for a very quick last question, what advice would you give to somebody to live a healthier life, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, however?
I'd say don't compare. Don't compare to anyone, because it's a different person. It's not you. You are yourself. You have your own body. You have your own genetics. You have your own life. So don't compare to anyone else and just focus on yourself.
I'd say just start. You know, whether it be you want to, you know, get in the gym, get swimming, start eating healthier, but you just don't really know what to do. I think just get stuck in and start.
I'd say don't be scared to ask for help, because I feel like that's really important. Some people, if they need that help and they're too nervous to ask for it, to get that extra hand to starting, because some people can't do it by themselves.
I think for me, just try and block out all your negative thoughts and be grateful for what you already have.
Great answer, everyone. Thank you for coming along and discussing.
Thank you.
Thank you.